Have you ever followed smart financial advice only to feel more broke over time? You're not alone. I did everything right, invested early, followed personal finance tips, saved aggressively, but still struggled to build wealth. The truth? Some popular assets don't help you get rich. They quietly keep you poor. Today, I'm exposing 7 financial traps that look smart but actually waste money and kill your shot at financial freedom. These are the same assets your advisor, parents, and even finance influencers praise. Stay till the end. The last one is the most dangerous. Asset number 1. Buying real estate as a safe investment. Sound familiar, right? You've heard it your whole life. Buying a house is smart. Property always goes up in value. You can never lose with land. Your dad said it. Your neighbors said it. Even financial advisors nod in agreement. And yes, real estate can build wealth. But beneath this widespread belief lies a dangerously misleading illusion. If that property doesn't make you money every single month, it's not an asset. It's a shiny golden anchor dragging down your finances. Stop for a moment. Really think about it. You've been taught all your life that buying a home is the wise choice, haven't you? That real estate prices only go up? But the truth is, statistics show the average American spends over $9,000 a year on hidden homeownership costs, maintenance, taxes, insurance, HOA fees, and that's before mortgage payments. Over 10 years, that's $90,000 spent. Money that could have been invested elsewhere for actual returns. And if that home doesn't bring in positive cash flow, profit after all expenses, then you're not holding an asset. You're holding a liability. Ask yourself, is this house making me money? Or am I just admiring it from afar like a trophy I can't afford? Hard to believe? Let me tell you 2 true stories. Mike from Chicago bought a cabin in the mountains. He thought it was a smart investment, a vacation spot, and a valuable asset. But 5 years later, Mike had poured over $50,000 into repairs, taxes, and upkeep. The cabin never brought in a single dollar. Meanwhile, his colleague Sarah invested the same amount into a small rental apartment that netted her $600 a month, even after all expenses. 5 years later, Sarah had fully recouped her investment and built a steady income stream, while Mike was still paying for his asset. See the difference? One person gets paid by their asset. The other pays for theirs. That's the defining line between the wealthy and the average. The rich don't buy real estate based on belief or emotion. They don't buy it because it's pretty or because their uncle said it's a great investment. They buy it because it generates positive cash flow. That's it. That's the rule. Before buying any property, a smart investor asks, after all the costs, loan, taxes, maintenance, insurance, management, and vacancy risk, does this still bring in money every month? If the answer is no, they walk away. No emotion, just logic and numbers. And you can do the same. Today, there are platforms that let you invest in income-generating properties without falling in love with a house. You don't have to plunge toilets at midnight or hire someone to shovel snow at your distant vacation home. And if you're thinking, but what about my dream holiday house? Don't worry. Just follow the formula the wealthy use. First, build a portfolio of properties that create steady cash flow. Then use a portion of that passive income to buy your dream house. When you buy with profits, not principal, that's smart investing. So here's what I want you to remember. A property that doesn't make money is not an asset. It's a fancy-looking liability. And that false sense of luxury could be what's quietly slowing down your path to financial freedom. And what about the money just sitting in your savings account? Are you sure it's safe? Or is it silently making you poorer every day? That's what we'll talk about next. Asset number 2, keeping all your money in a savings account. Sounds safe, doesn't it? So many people over 40 were taught this exact formula. Work hard, save consistently, and one day you'll retire in peace. But here's the harsh truth. That strategy is quietly draining thousands of dollars from your pocket every single year. Why? Because the so-called safety you believe in is actually making you poorer slowly, politely, and silently. Let's look at the numbers. A traditional savings account in the US today offers less than 0.4% interest per year. Meanwhile, inflation averages over 3% annually, and in some years, it spikes to 6-7%. What does that mean? It means your money is losing value while it sits safely in the bank. You're not preserving wealth. You're burning it, and you don't even notice. Here's a simple example. You save $10,000 in a regular savings account for 5 years at 0.4% interest. After 5 years, you've earned about $200 in interest. Sounds like a win? Not exactly. Over the same period, inflation has eroded more than $1,500 of your money's real value. You're down $1,300 without spending a single dollar. That's not building wealth. That's losing wealth. But this isn't just about numbers. It's about mindset, the wealth mindset. Every dollar you earn is the result of your sweat and effort. But when you let it sit in a low-interest savings account, you're putting it to sleep. Meanwhile, the bank is using your money to invest and make 10-20% returns for itself. You hold onto the money. They get rich off of it. Fair deal? Let me tell you a story. Janet, from Portland, kept $50,000 in a traditional savings account for 10 years because she wanted to play it safe. The result? Inflation robbed over $15,000 of its value. Meanwhile, her brother Tom took the same money but moved it into a high-yield savings account earning 4.5%. 10 years later, not only had he protected his money from inflation, but he had also grown it too. Both accounts were FDIC insured. One just worked smarter. Same habit of saving. But one person moved closer to financial freedom. The other stayed trapped by financial anxiety. This isn't just a lesson in personal finance. It's a lesson in long-term financial thinking. If you want to build lasting wealth, it starts with respecting your money and making it work for you, not lie dormant like a useless brick. Before we move on to the next asset that's causing millions to waste money every day, take a moment and look at your own savings account. Is it helping you build the rich, free life you deserve? Or just keeping you comfortably broke? Are you starting to see things more clearly? If so, drop a comment. I want to know what just clicked for you. And now, let's talk about one of the most common rewards of adulthood. That brand new car you think you deserve. But is it really a smart investment? Let's break it down in the next section. Asset number 3, buying a brand new car as a reward for yourself. You've worked hard your whole life. You've raised a family, built a career, and pushed through more challenges than most people can imagine. And now you think, I deserve that dream car, sleek, luxurious, the kind that makes you feel successful the moment you sit inside. Society agrees. The commercials say so. The salesperson says so. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Buying a new car isn't a financial reward. It's a sweet-looking trap that silently drains your wealth. Let's look at a brutal fact those glossy billboards never mention. The moment you drive a brand new car off the lot, it loses 15-20% of its value. Not after a year. Not after 6 months. Instantly, within the first few hundred meters. And in just 5 years, the average new car loses over 50% of its value. You spend $50,000 on a luxury sports car. 5 years later, it's worth around $22,000, if you're lucky. That means you've just burned $28,000 on a depreciating object. You didn't buy an asset. You unknowingly threw your money into a liability that looked pretty for a moment and became a long-term financial burden. What makes this even more damaging, especially for those over 40, is the opportunity cost. That lost $28,000, if invested conservatively at just 7% annually, would grow to over $55,000 in 10 years. That money could have pushed you closer to financial freedom, or laid a foundation of lasting wealth for your children and grandchildren. So ask yourself, is that new car smell really worth tens of thousands of dollars? Deep down, you already know the answer. The smarter move? Consider a 3-year-old used car, still under warranty, with low mileage. Use services like Carfax or independent inspections to make sure it's solid. And if you truly want to switch cars every few years, leasing might be an option, though even that isn't always the most cost-effective. Remember, real wealth isn't parked in the driveway. It's working behind the scenes, growing and compounding, not tied up in a chunk of metal that drops in value the moment you own it. This is the kind of financial wisdom schools never teach you. Don't let the emotional pull of "I deserve it" destroy the financial future you've worked so hard to build. If you're serious about wealth, every dollar you spend must be guided by investment thinking, not impulse. Because personal finance isn't just about saving money or earning more. It's about making the right decisions with your biggest expenses, and a car is one of the biggest you'll ever make. And if you think buying a car was the worst financial move you've made, just wait until the next part, where a dream of starting a business turns into a financial prison that's more stressful and time-consuming than any 9 to 5 job. Asset number 4, starting a business with no exit plan. After years of working for someone else, helping build someone else's dream, many people in their 40s or older start thinking it's time to take control by starting their own business. Maybe that's you. You're thinking, I've worked hard enough. Now it's time to do what I love, be my boss, and finally have time and financial freedom. It sounds amazing, but the reality is far from that dream. No one at those motivational business seminars tells you the harsh truth. Owning a business does not equal freedom if it can't run without you. Have you ever met someone who opened a restaurant, a bakery, a shop, or a service company, only to end up working harder than ever before? They're working 12 to 14 hours a day, weekends gone, answering customer messages at night, taking calls from partners at midnight. And after all the costs, staff, taxes, rent, they realize they're earning less per hour than when they had a job. Why? Because they didn't build a business. They built another job, one they can't quit. They have to handle everything: sales, orders, inventory, bookkeeping, and customer support. It's not a business. It's a golden cage disguised as the word freedom. Stats from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics show that 20% of small businesses fail in the first year. By year 5, it's 50%. But even within the 50% that survive, many owners fall into a trap of being successful but miserable. They've built something that looks good from the outside, but inside, they're stuck in a grind with no rest, no time for family, and no real freedom. Maria is a perfect example. She used to be a senior manager, but left to open a small bakery. From the outside, she succeeded: loyal customers, great revenue, and even featured in the local newspaper. But after 5 years, she hadn't taken more than 3 days off, was working over 70 hours a week, and couldn't get through a family dinner without being interrupted by work. Yes, she was a business owner, but she was also trapped in a prison made of profit. Then there's David, Maria's old friend, who also left his corporate job to start a property management company. But David did it differently. From the start, he built a system. He didn't try to do everything himself. He hired the right people, created clear processes, and used automation tools to run the business. After 3 years, David can travel 2 months a year while his company continues to run and generate steady cash flow without him. That's the difference between building a system that prints money and building a trap you can't escape from. So if you're thinking about starting a business, ask yourself, if I disappeared for a month, would it still run? If the answer is no, then you don't have a business, you have a job. A harder, riskier, more stressful job. The difference between the wealthy and those still struggling isn't just money, it's mindset. The wealthy don't trade time for money. They build systems. They make money, and people work for them. That's the foundation of wealth. So if you're ready to start your own business, start smart. Don't trade your blood, sweat, and life for a fancy-looking cage. Build something that can run without you. That's the only real way to achieve financial freedom. And if you think self-employment is already a dangerous trap, just wait for the next part, where one of the most aggressively marketed financial products turns out to be the golden handcuff: whole life insurance. Asset number 5, whole life insurance. This is one of the most polished, well-marketed financial products out there. It promises protection and investment in one package. A two birds, one stone solution. But behind a shiny sales pitch lies a luxurious financial handcuff, something quietly locking up the financial freedom of millions of people without them even realizing it. Who wouldn't want a policy that protects your loved ones and also builds value over time? That's exactly what makes it so appealing and so dangerous. Many people buy into it without truly understanding what they're signing up for. Insurance agents, of course, are more than eager to sell it. Because the commissions on whole life policies are often 5 to 10 times higher than basic term life insurance. But the real question is, are they serving your financial interests or chasing their sales quota? Here's the hard truth. A healthy 45-year-old man can get a $500,000 term life policy for around $400 a year. But if he chooses whole life insurance instead, that same coverage could cost over $4,000 a year, 10 times more. And most of that extra money isn't going toward better benefits. It's eaten up by operating costs, commissions, and layers of complicated fees. The insurance industry will highlight cash value accumulation and call it a safe investment, but they rarely clarify the actual returns, which often underperform even the simplest index fund. Worse still, when you die, your family only receives the insurance payout, not the cash value you've spent decades building. That entire savings portion, it goes to the insurance company, a fact buried deep inside contracts hundreds of pages long, the kind no one reads cover to cover. Paul from Michigan learned this the hard way. He paid $650 a month for a whole life policy for 20 years. That's $156,000 in total. After 2 decades, if he chose to cancel, the cash value he'd get back? Just $98,000. Meanwhile, his twin brother Mark paid just $50 a month for term life and invested the other $600 into an S&P 500 index fund. After 20 years, Mark had over $380,000. Both had insurance, but only one built real wealth. The other lost money and didn't even realize it. If you currently have a whole life policy, ask yourself, do you really understand what you're paying for? Do you know how much of your money goes to fees, commissions, and overhead every year? Do you understand how the cash value is calculated and who benefits most from it? If not, then you're investing in something you don't control, don't fully understand, and that might not deliver what you think. That's not a smart path to wealth. That's paying for the illusion of safety while quietly wasting your money on a product that's complex, expensive, and opaque. What do most financial experts recommend instead? It's simple. Buy term life insurance to protect your family during your working years and invest the difference in index funds or ETFs. This strategy gives you lower costs, more flexibility, better long-term growth potential, and most importantly, control over your own money. No confusing contracts, no hidden catches. If your goal is financial freedom and building lasting wealth for your children or grandchildren, then you need to stay sharp. Not every product that sounds smart is actually smart. In fact, in personal finance, the simpler the strategy, the more effective it often is. Ask questions, dig deep, and don't be afraid to walk away from a product once you realize it doesn't serve your goals. If you've ever owned a whole life policy, share your experience. Did you fully understand what was inside it? Did you ever feel unsure about how it worked? Your story might help someone else avoid a costly mistake. And remember, silence is exactly what the financial industry wants from you. But when you ask, understand, and act, you start taking back control. In the next section, we'll uncover another traditional asset, one that millions consider a safe haven in uncertain times, gold. But if you're holding gold in the form of jewelry, hoping to build wealth, prepare for a reality check. Asset number 6, buying gold in the form of jewelry. It's beautiful. It sparkles, but it doesn't grow your wealth. You may have heard this from a close friend, your aunt, or even your own mother. Buy gold and save it. You'll never lose. In times of economic uncertainty, that advice sounds even more reasonable. For centuries, gold has been seen as a safe haven, a financial safety net for the future. But if you're buying gold in the form of rings, necklaces, or earrings and thinking it's a smart investment, you're seriously mistaking emotional value for real value. Here's the harsh truth. Most gold jewelry isn't an investment. It's a luxury product marked up 2 to 3 times its actual worth. When you spend $3,000 on a gold necklace, the actual gold inside may only be worth about $800. The rest? You're paying for design, branding, craftsmanship, retail commissions, store fees, and a whole lot of marketing gloss. In other words, nearly 75% of what you're paying has nothing to do with gold. It's the price of feeling like you own something expensive. You've probably heard people say, gold never loses value. That's only partially true and only applies to bullion, pure gold bars, or other structured gold investments. But with jewelry, the moment you walk out of the store, that item may lose 30% to 70% of its resale value. Why? Because buyers, especially gold dealers, only care about the raw gold content, not the brand, not the design, and certainly not the sentimental story behind it. Susan, a woman in Dallas, is a perfect example. Over 30 years, she saved over $25,000 in gold jewelry, believing it was her investment stash. But when she retired and needed cash, the gold shops offered her just $7,600, less than one-third of what she had spent. The appraiser didn't care about memories or meaning. They only cared about how much gold could be melted down. If you truly want to invest in gold as a way to diversify or hedge against inflation, your strategy needs to be far more deliberate. Only buy from reputable dealers. If you want to own physical gold, choose bullion bars or certified gold coins. And if a website offers gold at prices that sound too good to be true, they probably are. Scams in the gold market are real and costly. Now, to be clear, jewelry has emotional and cultural value. It carries memories, family ties, and personal meaning. But don't confuse meaning with money, and never confuse looking good with building wealth. If you're buying jewelry for beauty or sentiment, that's wonderful. But if you're buying it to hold value or grow money, you're heading in the wrong direction. This isn't a path to wealth, and definitely not to lasting financial freedom. On the journey to true wealth, it's crucial to know the difference between a real asset and something that merely feels like one. Many people buy gold jewelry thinking it's a nest egg for their children, but what they're really leaving behind is an emotional item with poor resale value. So ask yourself, do you want to pass down real, lasting wealth or expensive items that are hard to liquidate? If you've ever bought gold jewelry as an investment, share your story. Have you ever tried to sell it? Were you shocked by what buyers offered? Your lesson could save someone else from making the same costly mistake. And remember, losing your own money is painful, but at least it's your mistake. Because in the next section, we'll step into one of the most dangerous financial territories, where money and family emotions collide. Where many people have lost not just their savings, but relationships too, all because of one decision that felt generous at the time: lending money to loved ones without clear agreements. Asset number 7, lending money to family or friends. It sounds noble on the surface, but it's one of the riskiest financial moves you can make. The situation often begins in a familiar way. Someone close to you is in trouble. You have the means, and because you're a kind person, you say yes. There's a hug, a heartfelt thank you, and a promise to pay you back when things get better. But what happens next? What started as a loan slowly becomes an unspoken gift wrapped in hope. And it's those vague expectations that can quietly poison the relationship for years to come. Picture this. You're at a family gathering, sitting across from the very person you lent money to, and they're talking about their new phone or showing photos from a recent vacation. Yet your loan? Still unpaid. And you can't say anything. There's no written agreement, no deadline, no legal contract. You don't want to cause tension, so you stay silent. But that silence turns into resentment, carried with you through every dinner, every holiday, every conversation. And no matter how close the relationship once was, cracks start to form. Quiet, painful, and irreversible. According to a Bankrate survey, 46% of people who lent money to friends or family ended up losing the money, the relationship, or both. And the worst part? When they don't pay you back, there's nothing you can do. No collection agency, no court, no legal protection. All you're left with is the frustration of watching someone spend freely while you absorb the loss. Take Robert's story. Nearing retirement, he lent $30,000 to his brother-in-law to open an auto repair shop. No contract, just a handshake and trust. 5 years later, the shop had failed. The brother-in-law went bankrupt. Robert got back just $2,000. The rest, $28,000, was gone. Along with it, years of retirement savings and the relationship. The family stopped speaking. A bond built over decades was shattered. all because of money and the lack of structure around it. So what's the solution? It's not to stop helping people. It's to help them in a healthy, structured way. If you're in a financial position to give truly, then say so clearly, this is a gift, not a loan. I don't expect it back. That way, there's no pressure, no hidden resentment, no tension down the road. But if you do expect repayment, if you're not in a position to give it away, then say it clearly too. I want to help, but I also value our relationship. Let's put the loan terms in writing so that there are no misunderstandings later. That one conversation can save years of silent damage. This is one of the most important lessons in personal finance, and one very few people are ever taught. Helping others is admirable, but you can't help anyone if you're not financially stable yourself. As the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. Protecting your financial boundaries isn't selfish. It's what allows you to help others sustainably and without wrecking what matters most, the relationships you cherish. We've just gone through 7 assets that seem smart on the surface, but are quietly destroying your path to financial freedom. Ask yourself honestly, how many of these are present in your own life right now? Don't let the wrong choices keep holding you back from building lasting wealth. On a scale of 1 to 10, how valuable was today's content for your financial future? Drop your number in the comments. I read every single one. And if this helped you, share it. You might be the reason someone else wakes up before it's too late.